going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we are talking about Deadpool 2. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about movies, TV shows, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, we are talking about Deadpool 2, so without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, with Deadpool and Wolverine just about a week away, I've been going back and watching the original Deadpool, which the review is already up on the channel as well. And now coming here to Deadpool 2 in preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I was a really big fan of the original Deadpool movie. I saw it in theaters when it first came out, and I also saw Deadpool 2 when it first came out in theaters as well. And I've only seen it one time before today, rewatching it, and I had a very fond memory of not liking it as much as I did the original one. And while that statement, to the most part, kind of stays true, I did enjoy it a lot more than I remember enjoying it when I first watched it in theaters. But before I get started and let you know my thoughts about Deadpool 2, make sure to let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comment section down below. Share your excitement for Deadpool and Wolverine, and also your thoughts on the entire Deadpool franchise. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into the pros. Now, starting off with the pros, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, still a perfect casting. He still plays his character amazing. I don't think there's anybody else there in the world that can play and portray this character the way Ryan Reynolds does. His fourth wall breaking is always hilarious. There's more pop culture references in this movie just from that fourth wall breaking comedy style that Ryan Reynolds kind of brings to this character. I think the character itself has a little bit more growth as well in terms of his personal growth and him wanting to start a family. But then again, just as soon as things start to kind of go perfect in his life again, tragedy strikes with of course his fiance, or I'm pretty sure they're husband and wife at this point, dying at the beginning of the movie, and him kind of going on this really huge not necessarily a revenge spree, but trying to kind of find his purpose in life so that he can die peacefully and kind of go into the other world with his wife. And although the comedy is done very, very well in this movie, I do think this movie kind of does take a more serious approach than the original one. Like I said, you do have the tragedy of her dying at the beginning of the film, and then you have this kid named Russell who's being kind of abused, and then you have the character of Cable being introduced here, where in the future his family gets disintegrated by this evil villain, and he kind of comes back in time to stop him. And we throughout that we kind of learn that is Russell, this little kid that Deadpool is trying to save and trying to make him a better person and not being this evil character. And I really, really enjoy the character of Cable. I think the character design is freaking awesome. His robot arm and his little kind of gadget eyes, and the way he's able to kind of manipulate guns to make him into this one big powerful gun. He's extremely strong. He's extremely badass. He's a good foe against Deadpool for the most part in this entire film. So I just really enjoy the introduction of Cable in this movie as well. And I think it's kind of funny how this is like the baby version of what we're expected to see in Deadpool and Wolverine. Everybody is speculating that we're going to see this many cameos, this many superheroes from different universes and timelines and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like this kind of does that already a little bit. You have at the beginning of the film that's kind of funny is, Deadpool kind of poking fun at a little bit of Logan, Wolverine's movie, of him dying, how he wants to have that legacy and die himself and everything like that. And then you have all these different superheroes kind of get brought in, and all these different actors that are there just for kind of a big comedy bit, like Terry Crews. You have Bill Skarsgård coming in as well as like a superhero, and it's just one big comedy bit that I thought was kind of funny. So it's kind of like a little stepping stone for what we're expected to see in Deadpool and Wolverine. But I like that they're already kind of starting to play with the whole like multiverse and bringing stuff from different universes and timelines and everything like that. So I really enjoy how that's starting to kind of come in, and it makes sense to have that big leap into the next movie and however much further this franchise goes. I do think that a lot of the action sequences that we get in this movie actually are a little bit better than what we got in the original Deadpool. I think they're all choreographed pretty awesome. You have some cool slow-mo shots and some cool gunplay and action and some pretty gory, fun kills that we get here as well. So I think overall just the action is a lot more entertaining, a lot more bombastic and epic, and just kind of bigger in scope in this film than we did get in the original Deadpool. And I do like that this is kind of like a little bit of a time travel action adventure story when it comes to Cable coming back and trying to rewrite history in this future and the safety of his family and stuff like that. So it's a really fun time traveling movie. Who doesn't like a very well kept, well executed time travel movie. But again, I just do think this is just a very fun movie that has a lot of references to other Marvel stuff and even to some DC stuff that's pretty fun. You have some really awesome action, some great casting, some great action sequences, and nice directing and shot choices and things like that. But I do think it does fall a little short when it comes to comparing to the original Deadpool. But I do have overall a very, very good time with this, and it's still a good movie. I would not consider this a bad movie for any stake. So as of now, the Deadpool franchise does have a pretty good track record, and I'm very, very excited what they do in Deadpool and Wolverine. And lastly, before I go into my cons, I do really like the way this movie kind of wraps up and everything, where it does feel a little satisfying of how everything kind of lands. It does have a little bit of an emotional payoff as well. You do have an emotional sequence with, Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds' character, obviously of Deadpool. And there's still a little bit of silliness in there, of course, because even with something like this, where I do think the Deadpool 2 is a lot more serious and a lot more kind of dire than the original film, even in those most serious moments, there's still a little bit of that joking nature that Deadpool always brings to the table. So even though throughout the movie you do have all that serious nature, and even at the end when you're having that emotional payoff, there's still a little bit of fun to be having, a little bit of silliness to be having. That's just kind of the nature of these films. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons. And I do have one that's pretty big and pretty lingering in my book, at least. It might not be something that bothered everybody, but for some reason it really bothered me. And throughout the entire film, we are following, of course, Cable coming back to kind of seek his revenge on this person that killed his family. You have Deadpool, who was trying to kind of save this kid of Russell, trying to make him a better person, not letting him, slip too far into evil. And then you have, of course, the X-Men trying to bring in Deadpool and make him a little bit more sensible and follow rules and things like that. But then you have this kind of central line of Russell, of whatever his name, Fire Hands, whatever it's called, but Russell, right, the little kid. And throughout the entire time, I just don't find his character endearing, really having any sort of redeeming qualities or characteristics. Like the only thing that is very redeeming about him is that he was, tortured and hurt and not treated well in this mutant facility, and that is really the only thing that you have to kind of attach yourself to him and kind of feel some sort of sympathy. But I think throughout the entire film, he kind of he's always trying to start trouble for no reason. At the beginning, he's trying to escape this mutant kind of home, which is totally understandable when you find out why. But once they take him to the prison, he wants to already shank someone and kill someone. And then once they escape, he wants to find the baddest guy and then kill this person, kill that person. His character doesn't seem like a kid. He's not endearing. He's not charming or, adorable or anything like that. Like, he's just some kid that you don't really care too much about. I didn't find myself caring too much about his story, about his arc, about his growth, about any of it. And I think that's kind of like what it felt like when I first watched this movie in theaters, and that's kind of the underlining factor why I probably didn't enjoy it as much as Deadpool, is that you have all these integral characters, all these, badass characters that all surrounding this one through line, this one connecting character are awesome, but the one main character that it feels like they're all connected to somehow is just not really someone that I cared about, someone that I don't really worry if they're going to take this path or that path. It was something that I was just whatever about, and that's unfortunate, but it's just kind of how I felt throughout the entire film. For some reason, it's a character that I don't really care about. I was kind of annoyed at and just didn't really feel any connection to. And another thing that I think that this movie kind of lacks in is, when we watched the first Deadpool for the first time, it was kind of surprising. Like, this superhero movie that is so graphic, so much profanity, so many fourth wall breaking, so many jabs and all these other things, that's kind of shocking. And when you watch the second one, you expect a little bit more shock factor, but it kind of does the same thing that the first movie does. And so that shock, that charisma about the character when you first watch it is a little bit less. You already walk into this movie expecting what you saw in Deadpool, and when you get, for the most part, pretty much the same exact thing, there's just a little bit less charm to that. There's a little bit less entertainment to that version of this movie and the version of this character that we all know and love. but it's just not as shocking, it's not as impactful as it is in the first film. But overall, let me know what you guys think about Deadpool 2. I still thoroughly enjoy this film. It is one of the better superhero movies of all time, but is not as great as the original Deadpool. Overall, it still makes me very excited to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And again, if you guys like talking about movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.